Welcome to the Trader a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast is dedicated to mainly English-speaking versions of the TV phenomenon The Traitors, although we have covered The Traitors India and some other strategy shows like Million Dollar Secret on Netflix and ITV's Genius Game. This season of the podcast is dedicated to Season 3 of The Traitors Canada. We will be analysing every episode, looking at the gameplay, and maybe even telling a lie or two along the way. Last time, I was not even on the podcast. I didn't join my own podcast because I am also covering, as of this moment, Celebrity Traitors UK. So helping me out was someone a lot of you will be very familiar with. And he's here to join me again today. It's David Bloomberg. David,
Hello
welcome back
again.
and thank you. Thank you for taking the reins last time with Laura. I had fun listening to it afterwards, like a real, like just me listening to a podcast. It was great fun. Got to hear you talking about it, and I didn't have to do much, so I enjoyed it.
Well,
Uh,
good.
I
And
mean,
this is the transition episode, where, you're in, but not fully in, but, so
yeah,
we're easing you back into your own podcast.
yeah, we're in a state of flux. I'll get us going, but you're going to lead us through the episode today. I'm going to introduce something new in case there are listeners who are just joining us for season 3 of Canada and may not know what's about to happen. David, I've introduced myself. Tell us a bit more about you.
Well, it's funny because it occurs to me that last week when I was hosting, I forgot to introduce myself. Now, I suspect most people already know me, but for those who don't, I have been covering reality TV for over 25 years, including for now over 10 years on podcasts. And before that, online in newspaper columns and on my own reality TV websites. Plus, I post reality TV videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram as at David Bloomberg TV. And I'll talk about the topic wherever anyone will listen.
And before we get into episode 2 today, I'm going to kick us off with a couple of listener comments and questions and thoughts. I actually have a voice note from Kevin, so let's start off with that.
Hi, Matthew. This is Kevin calling from Canada. No, not that Kevin that was skipping around the halls of the manor with his traitor necklace bouncing all over the place. I love your podcast, and it's my go-to pod after every episode. I am really enjoying the Celebrity Traders UK. Love that it's actually celebrities, unlike the last US season. And by the way, Nico is the hottest on the season, I have to say. As a Canadian, I'm well aware and accept the fact that when Canada does a version of something that's popular in the US or UK, it's usually lower budget, campy, and cheesy. Luckily for us, though, Traders and Drag Race are already campy and cheesy in the best ways possible, so I do enjoy the Canadian versions. And while the newest season of Canada does have a chunk of reality people, there is a nice mix of regular folks as well. I have to give a special shout out to Kat In, like Claudia, such fantastic hosts of the show, really endearing and fun to watch. The selection twist at the beginning, the traders seeking each other out that first night, the super fun mission, and the adding traders at the very end had me excited to watch. The final moments were really tense, and I really want to thank Venus for my new favorite quote that I will be using for a while, that my heart drops to my asshole. Thanks for your fantastic pod, and I look forward to more. Take care.
Thanks for that, Kevin. That was fantastic. It sounds like he's enjoying the season and the podcast, which is great. Kevin has reminded me of a couple of things. Firstly, well, there's something I'm going to come back to a bit later on in the podcast, but Kevin referred to the mix of sort of reality stars, regular people. You, you though, David, you know some of them. Am I right in thinking at least one person is from Survivor, which is like a
Two,
US show? Oh, a couple of them.
yes, two of them are Omer and Venus are both from Survivor.
Okay. And
And
there
it
is
is a
no
U.S.
Canadian
show.
Survivor, right? Yeah.
Correct. There's Canadian Amazing Race. There
Yeah.
was Canadian Big Brother, but there is no Canadian Survivor. And so for a long time, Canadians were just locked out. You couldn't do anything. And then starting, I can't remember exactly when, but in the fairly recently, and for Survivor, I mean the last between 5 and 7 years, I'll say, they opened it up to Canadians as well.
Okay.
And so, and then as soon as they did that, Canadians started winning. So then they said, "Hold on a second, not so many Canadians. Let some Americans win." And so
Okay, I see. Kevin also referenced Drag Race, which reminded me that you mentioned this last time on the pod. I don't really know who Kitten Caboodle is. I
mhm.
watched, I think, the first two seasons of Canada's Drag Race, and then there came a point where there's just so many different versions of the show, it got overwhelming, and I kind of gave up a little bit. I kind of only watch the UK and the US one now, so I don't think I've seen the season that Kitten Caboodle was on, which reminds me, oh, in this moment, I've just realised that Kitten Caboodle is not in drag in the show most of the time, so I actually have no idea who she is.
Yeah, it confused me when Kitten came out. Luckily, had Kitten written across the sweatshirt so that I knew who it
Okay.
was. Because at first, when they walked in for breakfast, I was like, "Who is that?" So yeah,
Yeah, even right now, I'm struggling to picture it. I'm sure it will come back to me. And yes, Kevin mentioned the twists. I have some thoughts on the twists. I'm going to come back to that very soon. I also have a comment on YouTube from Kate, sorry, Kat, I think. And Kat refers to something that you and Laura talked about on the episode one recap, which I thought was very interesting. You talked a little bit about the shields and whether or
hmm
not the two traitors were told, here's who has shields, don't pick them. Uh, and so Kat on YouTube says there's no way production told them not to pick someone with a shield. I imagine production had a list of possible plans based on who the
hmm
traitors chose and who among the four players had shields. Who knows? Maybe if the recruits had shields, but they didn't, as in Coco and Kevin, Coco and Kevin would be the ones at risk, and the recruits would be the ones with the power. I quite like that. They haven't taken the oath yet, after all. They probably had a contingency plan for what would happen if all four had shields too. So Kat reckons there wouldn't be any
yeah.
interference. I guess I don't know if we've got a resolution to this. I don't know what the answer is, but
I I mean, I agree with that. I think I said last week that my suspicion is they didn't tell them
yeah,
and just waited to see what would happen. And like, let's say that Ty had a shield. Bye
yeah,
bye Venus. I mean, that's my thought that what would have
yeah,
happened. Another possibility is they just would have said, no, you can't pick that person. They have a shield. It also protects them from becoming a traitor.
yeah.
They could have lied to them about what the impact of the shield was.
Mm,
Because we know in some cases a shield also protects you from banishment, even though we're told it's not, depending on what country you're in. I'll just leave
yeah,
it at that.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think you have a couple of listener questions for a little bit later on, David.
Yes.
For now, though, we are about to get into episode two. We are going to initiate something new for this season of the podcast. I am going to begin our own podcast game, the Trade Our Traitor. Inspired by traitors, viewers claims that they could easily spot the traitors' lies and deceptions and that the faithful are idiots. We're going to play our own game of secrecy and betrayal and put it to the test. So the mission for David and I, from here on in this podcast episode, is to tell a sneaky lie to one another. Our lie has to be a fabrication or a made-up fact, big or small. It could be about the show, it could be about anything. For example, I could lie and say, I've never been to Canada, when in fact I have been to Canada. However, I couldn't lie and say, I don't like Canada. That would be a fake opinion and a terrible thing to say on a podcast all about the Traitors Canada. So
Yes.
we're looking for fake facts and false pieces of information rather than fake thoughts and feelings. And listeners, it's time for you to put your own skills to the test and see if anything lights up your radar. At the end of the episode, David and I will test our traitor hunting abilities and see if we can successfully catch and banish the other. Now, I have to say, David, David is poised and ready with pen and post-its. I'm currently covering Celebrity Traitors UK. I'm doing a pretty good job. I've caught out some
Okay.
lies of my co-hosts. I've told some pretty fun lies, if I do say so myself. So, David, are you ready to betray me?
Oh, I am. I am.
I looked right
And
in the camera for that bit. I was like very
yes,
intense about that.
yes. And you said it was a new game, but it's not a new game. It's, the OGs know that this is, an old game brought
Of
back again.
course, of course. I was catering to any recent listeners, but yes, the OG
Yes.
fans know exactly what this is. So we're back, and our game begins right now. Uh, I did have some thoughts on episode one that I wanted
Aha,
to
there
sort
it
of.
is. You have no thoughts. You're lying.
You got me. Uh, so like I said, I listened to you and Laura on the pod. I thought I would just chip in with, how I thought about episode one. First of all, like you talked about, there are two different versions of the show. There's like a sort of abridged version and then an extended one. So I
Hmm.
only saw the shortened version. And I think, even though I've not seen the extended one, I felt like it was short. Like I could really feel the sort of the pace. Maybe it's because I'm so used to watching the UK celebrity version at this moment, and those episodes are sometimes like an hour and 5 minutes. And
Hmm.
I was suddenly watching like a 43-minute show, so I really felt like it was racing through the episode, which I think does it a disservice. Like I felt like it
I
wasn't
mean,
getting quite enough.
I guess we need to know what was in the extended version that was not
Mm,
in the original version. Like for the
yeah,
upcoming one, I watched the extended version. You
yeah,
watched the regular
yeah, yeah,
version. So we'll have some points of comparison, but some things it'll be hard to tell. Like they may have just extended the round table or,
yeah.
added in a scene where someone swears that they didn't include on the TV version or something of that nature.
Yeah, I would make a guess that for episode two, for when I was watching episode two today, I felt like the roundtable discussion was very short. So I'm interested to hear what you say about the roundtable, and maybe there are things that I've missed. I really like the twist at the beginning that the players will get an extra $10,000 every time they catch a traitor, because for a long time we've talked about a kind of flaw in the game, you might say,
Hmm.
that actually there's not really a good reason to get traitors early on. So I do like that they've probably realized that, and so they're trying to rebalance things. We suggested this before on the podcast. Maybe they should give them
Right.
extra money, or maybe the murder should be cancelled that night if they catch a traitor. So I like that they've done this. I kind of like to see them introduce it elsewhere. I as for the other twists, I kind of don't didn't really care that much about the that one of the two people chosen at the end was going to leave, because I don't know them from other shows already. I hadn't really gotten any time to get to know them to care that much about which one left. So like it was fun, I guess, but
Yeah, but if
neither that
you're
memorable.
A Canadian or many American uh, reality TV viewers,
Yeah,
and you see this Big Brother winner or this well-known Survivor player going like that after one episode, I mean, that's just the way it turned out.
yeah,
It's not production's fault. They maybe should have foreseen that, but it also immediately draws eyes like, holy cow, these one of these
yeah,
people is leaving right off the bat. Uh,
yeah.
so
Yeah, and I did make a note as well that I'm aware I'm not the target audience for this. Like, I'm choosing to watch this from another country where it's not
yeah,
really airing, so I do also have to accept, yeah, this is aimed mainly at people who do know who this cast are, so I accept that.
yeah, it would
I,
be kind of similar to on Celebrity Traders UK if like Jonathan or Steven left
yeah,
after one episode.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I also, I guess the other twist in the episode was the sort of fake out traitors pick at the round table where yeah, Creed taps people, but
Hmm.
actually, haha, the people I tapped are the faithful, not the traitors. Like, yeah, okay, it was fun for a moment, but it was a kind of like a short-lived gimmick. It doesn't really have any impact on the game, so it was fun, but it's not like, some people are saying it's the biggest, wildest first episode ever, and I thought probably not really. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know, but
yeah, and that's basically what we said was I that's why I enjoyed it because it didn't do anything
Hmm,
to the game.
Yeah.
I prefer that they not add in new twists just to mess with the game itself. And
Yes.
so, uh, yeah, it messed with the players. It was funny to watch. It was fun that they tricked us for a few minutes. And now, some of the players are using this going forward. Like, oh, I saw the way you reacted. We'll get into that
Yeah.
obviously as this episode goes on. So yeah, it was fun without really messing anything up.
Yeah. My final thought about episode one is about Kevin. I'm sure we'll have lots to say about Kevin. Again, I don't know who he is. I think I've got a pretty good impression of him from these two episodes. What I couldn't get my head around in episode one was why he was so excited to be seen as the villain. Like he seemed like he was like, haha, I'm the villain of the show and I've been picked as a traitor. If I was him, I'd be really worried about that. I'd be thinking, they're gonna banish me because they expect me to be a traitor. This is not good. So he seemed too happy to be seen as the villain by everybody. I thought, this isn't good for you, Kevin. I don't think you should be celebrating this.
I think that he may have come in, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think he may have come in with "I'm here for a good time, not a long time"
Yeah, yeah,
attitude, and therefore he's going to have a good time. Because yeah, if you're the winner of a previous show, they're probably going to come after you
yeah,
on the
yeah,
traders. It
yeah.
seems likely. He's, I mean, we're 2 episodes in and he's avoided suspicion so far, so that
Yeah,
surprises me. But
yeah.
so yeah, we'll see how he does in that regard. And that does remind me, if you start skipping around the room, that's how I'm going to know that you're lying to me. So,
Yeah, well, I should skip right now because I've told an accidental lie. This wasn't
oh,
my deliberate lie as part of the game. I said, this is my final point. Actually, I have one more point. I just didn't notice my little extra note here at the end of the page. I liked that the mission was a bit of a flop for the players and that they messed it up. I like to see them. I like that there's
yes,
real jeopardy. I like that they really can screw up a task and not win all the money that was available. So often in the traitors, the missions feel a bit pointless and they're going to win money anyway. So I liked that in episode one, they screwed it up and they were like, yeah, well, they won $4,000, but you didn't win
yeah,
everything you could have won. So I thought, yeah, I want to see it feel like a real challenge. So that is my final thought on episode one, I
yes,
think.
yes.
And I'm going to
All
now,
right.
I'm passing over to you, David. You're going to take us through episode two.
Yes, yes. And as I mentioned, this is the extended version of the show that was available online. And we begin with the cliffhanger from last week. Will Ty or Venus be picked as the third traitor while the other is murdered?
Ooh.
Both Laura and I predicted last week that Venus was a goner. And yeah, we were both wrong. Each of them pleads their case as Venus tells us Ty is Kevin's best friend. And then Ty tells us he wants to hide their relationship from Coco. And then later, Coco says she knows they're really good friends. I, I presume they knew each other. I did not realize they were that close.
Yeah.
But apparently everybody else in the world does, or everybody else in Canada. Uh, Venus makes the case that they want to stay under the radar and Ty's name is already out there. Now, what she doesn't realize is that one big reason they chose Ty to begin with was because his name was already out there and he could be sacrificed. So, in a way, she was arguing against herself. Turned out not to matter.
Yeah.
Uh, Kev- Kevin and Coco debate who to keep, and it's awkward because it's in front of Ty and Venus. And Kevin is saying things like, my chances of winning this game are higher with Ty. And he's saying it in front of them. And then, Coco tells us she can't be on a team with Kevin and Ty, especially since Ty knows Kevin picked him. Well, of course, he only knows that because she said it in front of him.
Hmm.
And so, the debate goes back and forth until Corrine is finally like, okay, let's wrap this up. And to my surprise, Kevin caves. He apologizes to Ty and sends him off, telling us he might have lost a friend today and he's an asshole. The he being Kevin. Now he's not calling Ty that.
Yeah.
And for Ty's part, at least in what we see, he blames the twist. He doesn't blame Kevin. So hopefully
Yeah.
all is well in their friendship.
I hope so. I was struck by a few things here. Firstly, yeah, like you and your prediction, even again, based, I don't really know Kevin, but my impression of him was that he would fight for what he wanted. So I was quite surprised that he gave in. I thought they might even just do like rock, paper, scissors. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they did, and production were like, that's really boring TV, you can't do that. I don't know.
Rock, cloak, dagger.
Yeah,
It's gotta
something,
change
make it up.
it.
Uh, and there's something that Kevin says during this conversation. He goes, I think he says it in his confessional. He says, I thought I was going to be in the conclave with three traitors who trusted me the most. And I thought, huh? Why? Why do you assume that they would trust you the most? A little bit egotistical. And after the decision is made, we then hear him say, my current game is just revenge. I'm out for blood. And I sort of shook my head and thought, this is not a great way to play the game. I mean, maybe like you said, he's here for a good time, not a long time. So maybe he's like, probably not gonna last, so I'm gonna have fun while I'm doing it. But if it's really his plan to win, I thought, I think as traitors in the early stages, you really do need to stick together. So if your immediate plan is, I'm gonna get these two back, which I think he says it again later in the episode. I thought, well, first of all, you did let it happen. Like, if you cared that much, you could have fought a bit harder and refused. So, you can't acquiesce and let Coco have her way and then swear revenge on her. I thought that was a little bit silly of him.
Yeah, I do think we talked about it a little bit last week. I think he's playing into the entertainment aspect of
Sure.
it. He knows what reality TV viewers want, and he's giving it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the meantime, to make it official, Venus accepts a traitor's cloak while Ty is left at his grave. And we move on to breakfast. Chala is there, and we get a Chiron with her name.
Hey.
and so I'm like, oh, did they find the budget to put Chirons in? Did they have to rush episode 1 to the air that they didn't have time to put all the Chirons in? Did they find that they misspelled everybody's job like they did with Planner? I don't know, but the Chirons are back. The world is okay again.
Yeah, it's funny that you and Laura were talking about this last episode. Someone sent me a message saying, "What's a Chiron? Why did they keep talking? What's a Chiron they keep talking about?" And so I explained, but yes, it was a strange omission.
Yes, and then Hollywood is there, and Chala's wife Meredith is there as well, wearing almost a matching outfit. They probably should have altered their clothing before coming. Natalie and Kitten are there as well. Kitten with kitten written across the on the sweatshirt.
Yeah, completely passed me by.
Meredith thinks the traitors will take out a big gun like Ty or Kevin, and other people say unless they're traitors. Almost so close. Kevin leads the next group in with Jericho telling us he and his boys are tight as hell, apparently including Dom as well in that. Thompson tells Kevin he wants to play with people he trusts, including Kevin. Next in are Coco, Curtis, and some others. Curtis figures out what Corinne's hint meant at the cemetery and tells a few others, including Kevin and Coco, that he thinks both a recruitment and a murder happened last night.
Yes.
The next group includes Jamal and Venus, and then comes Rhea, and everyone chants her name. Now, it looks like they're chanting her name just because she came in, but it's probably because I believe she's a fan of this podcast and my videos. So that's the most logical reason I can think of why they would be chanting her name.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, she in the mission, didn't she like sacrifice herself?
Yes.
In episode 1, I thought Is that part of it that they're like, hey,
I
you were
already told
great?
you the reason why. I don't know why you're
Okay,
trying to
sorry,
come up
sorry.
with other ones. Yeah.
You're right. I shouldn't question. Yes, continue.
Um, Shaughnessy comes in, and finally Omer. As he walks in, now, first of all, this is something that continues through the episode. Omer is of the old fashioned mindset that if you come in last, that means you were seriously considered for murder. And he repeats that several times. Uh,
Yes.
so that part's interesting to me. But as he walks in, he tells us he had been convinced Kevin was a traitor, but Kevin looked shocked and scared. So maybe he's not really a traitor. So good acting for Kevin. Look at him. He's being evil and vengeful and a good actor and convincing people.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with him here, I guess. He didn't seem too over the top at this moment. And I'm glad that you mentioned what Omer said. I made a note of the exact same thing because it caught my attention here. And then, yes, at least two more times he sort of refers to the
Mm-hmm.
idea. So I think it's maybe even at the round table he mentions it again, or maybe it's after the mission. So I will also return to this point that
Yeah.
Omar keeps making.
Now, an important note about breakfast that I wanted to make sure we got to. Unlike most other versions, there is hot food. They have
Yes,
bacon and sausage.
and
So,
it's I noticed it's sort of like sponsored by someone. Like there's a plaque on the table with the name of like a company.
I saw that flash by. I did not pay attention to who it was, but that could explain how they were able to afford that, but they couldn't even afford cloaks for the
Yes.
for the people or chyrons in the first episode. So
Yeah, I've forgotten the name of them, but I like Googled it. I was like, what is this written on the thing? And it was like a breakfast restaurant or something like that. I don't know. So I thought, oh,
there you
they
go.
must be like providing the food and they're doing a bit of product placement. So yes, looked delicious.
Ah, see, I bet the other countries are going to be like, hey, get some sponsors in here. We don't want cold, hard boiled eggs and
Right.
croissants only. So after breakfast, Kevin and Lisette talk, with her being upset about Meredith spreading her name, including at the round table.
Hmm.
Rhea asks her group if Ty had put any names out that would have caused a traitor to target him. Coco says they should talk to Curtis because those two were close. But Asfir has suspected Curtis from the beginning and thinks murdering Ty would be perfect for him. Jamal brings up Chala's name due to their supposed reaction at the choosing. Uh,
I really laughed at this because he's like, that's not the Chala I know. And I
yeah,
thought, have I missed something? Do they know each other? Or does he just mean based on the past 12 hours? Like, what does he mean?
remember that they didn't do the choosing until the following day. So they did know them
Okay.
more than your typical hour or two beforehand. But
Hmm.
still, it's funny, yes, to think that you know someone from even that short time there.
Yeah.
But speaking of people knowing them, it's funny because Meredith asks Coco about Chala, saying, well, you know Chala better than me, uh, which I'm sure she was laughing about on the inside, but
Yeah.
also tells us she's worried about how often she's heard Chala's name.
Hmm.
Kevin and Coco chat, with Kevin following through on what he told us, pretending everything is okay. And then he adds that after a couple of days, I'm going to take her out and make her regret. Now, the thing is that that clip seems edited because he doesn't say regret it. He says, and make her regret.
Hmm.
Regret what? What was cut there? That's what I want to
Okay.
know. But he also then talks to Venus and immediately proposes targeting Coco now, noting she was a two-time Big Brother Celebrities finalist, which I did not know that part. To cover for their conversation as they're walking around, he starts dancing and being weird, similar to how he was skipping through the mansion last time.
Uh, yeah, and I don't know if that. Uh, I don't know. Again, I'm not that familiar with them, so I don't know if it makes other players think, oh, this is just him. He's weird. He does stuff like this, or if people are gonna like, what the hell is he doing? Why is he? I mean, Venus just sort of walks away and laughs
Yeah.
and is like, oh, I don't want anything to do with this. Ha ha ha. So probably nobody notices, but
Right.
yeah, I feel like he was not whispering very well.
Yeah. Um, so the players head off to the mission with Rhea telling her car of Omer, Meredith, and Mackenzie, I think, that she believes Curtis could be a traitor. She also relays that Curtis did not mention Omer's name, but did bring up Meredith. In another car, Kevin starts spreading information about Coco having been on Big Brother Celebrity to Thompson, Dom, and Curtis. And they all note that she hasn't mentioned that. And Kevin asks them to keep it between them, but he'd be open to voting her tonight. But they agree. We'll just keep certain things to just our foursome here.
Yeah,
Cars
he's
pull.
going quite hard very early.
Yeah,
Like,
he says
just
I'll wait a
calm
couple days,
down.
and then he's immediately talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it does remind me of a traitor on another season who turned on a traitor and got them out like episode 2 or something, and it was just wild. But yeah, I'm getting a very good picture of Kevin from these exchanges.
Yes. The cars pull into a forest, and the players walk to meet Karine, who is wearing. I don't really know how to describe it. Here, the only thing I could think of was her top is a small rectangular couch pillow that
Yes.
looks like a sensor bar covering only what needs to be covered.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's sort of like she's still in bed, just got out of bed and brought some of the bed with her. I mean, I usually quite like the wild, outlandish things that she wears, but this one I'm not convinced was a great look for me. What do I know? But this was a weird one. Like, I don't know.
She says that for this one, she's really playing into the bloodthirsty aspect of it. She's like, oh, they only murdered one instead of two. And I only need 20 players for this mission. So I need a volunteer to sit out, despite the fact that there will be shields available in the mission. After a very long pause, Lisette volunteers and is immediately put in charge of assembling the duos in teams. Well, they're duos, so obviously teams of two, without any input from the others. And then one person from each team will be eligible for a shield, which isn't technically true. Technically, they're both eligible, but only one person at max can get it.
Can get it, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about Lisette volunteering here? Like normally I'd give her a hard time and be like, "What?
Mm-hmm.
No, shields are so important. Why have you done this?" But I think, well, you know what? If you're gonna volunteer and take yourself out of the running, maybe now's the time to do it. Like really early on, when there are still
Right.
loads of people, there's plenty of people to choose from for murder. It's not going to make that much of a difference. And I think maybe the disadvantage of not having a shield gets outweighed by like the social capital you gain. Like the way they're all behaving with Rhea, they're like, yeah, Rhea.
Right.
So maybe next time, you know, if she's still here next episode, if there comes another chance to award people shields, she can be like, well, I volunteered last time, so
Right.
maybe she sets herself up well for next time. So I sort of not too mad at her, I guess.
Yeah, I also wonder just how long of a pause there was of them sitting there with nobody volunteering until finally someone succumbed to the social pressure.
Yeah, yeah,
So it seemed like a while, but it's hard to tell with, an edited show, obviously.
yeah.
Lisette tells us she tried to make the teams even, and those teams are Meredith and Dom, Kitten and Shaughnessy, Thompson and Mama Kay, who is Kara. I'm like, who the hell is Mama Kay? It is too soon to be using nicknames. We don't even know most of their real names. Don't be using nicknames.
Right.
Plus, and now it's possible, I mean, she's a real housewife of Toronto, I think. So it's possible she goes by that on the show. I do not know. But there is a long-standing reality TV trope where anyone like over 40 gets called mama whatever. And it's very annoying to especially those of us who are older and especially those who are older women. It's like, no, I'm not your mama. Stop calling me that. So maybe she encouraged it. Maybe she allowed it. Maybe she's called it. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. Anyway, the rest of the teams, Coco and Asphere, Sarah and Kevin, Natalie and Omer, Chala and Mackenzie, Rhea and Curtis, which is funny based on the car conversations we just heard, and Jamal and Jericho. In the forest, hanging from trees, is a total of $10,000 in gold. One member of each duo is blindfolded and must unhook the pouch and then, while guided by their partner. The more gold you bring back, the bigger the chance of winning a shield. Survivor has had a number of blindfold challenges. Okay. And one thing I always hear from the players, and you could see it somewhat on screens, is it's hard enough to hear your caller when there are only like 2 or 3 of them. They're in big teams. But here, as soon as they start, there are 10 people yelling out instructions to 10 blindfolded players. It is pretty much impossible at the start to hear any one voice in the crowd.
Yeah. It's also, I'm kind of surprised they weren't given, like, as far as I could see, like, elbow pads or, like, knee pads or a little helmet. Like, if you fall over and, like, go headfirst into a tree, that's risky. So they seem to just be let go in the woods with their blindfolds.
I said Karine was bloodthirsty this season. So
that's true. Yeah.
You know. Thompson realizes he cannot rely on hearing Kara's instructions and just swings his arms around until he hits something. Luckily, that something is a bag of gold, not a person. A few others seem to have similar luck. Rhea realizes that most of the other callers have deeper voices, so she shifts her pitch up. And it works because Curtis tells us he could hear her perfectly. In fact, it's going so well, he gets so many bags that he accidentally drops one without realizing it. He's just overloaded. Meanwhile, Kevin ended up with 0 bags. In total, they get 9,600, probably because one of those bags dropped. And this, you can't tell it from what I just said, but this mission goes on for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I had a feeling that one thing in the extended version of this episode was a longer version of this mission. And when I asked for questions on Blue Sky, which is the question we'll get later, was the response. I also had that confirmed by someone who did watch both. Yes, this mission did go longer, which also explains some of the unbleeped swearing here and there in a later scene.
Okay.
So I mean, it makes sense if you're. I don't know that it makes sense to make a special version of the show just to add to the mission. Like, is it really that important? But I guess if you're going to do it, it is kind of a fun scene to add to. So. Yeah.
I was glad that, I know you're about to get to it. I was glad there was an extra part to the mission because I thought this was it. And I thought, all right. And then they're going to open the bags and the shields will be in some of them. Which
that's what I thought too.
Okay, fine, whatever. So
right.
I was glad there was part 2, and well, after you describe it, I guess I'll tell you why I liked it.
Yeah. So Karine takes the players to what she calls her bridges, but they look a lot more like piers to me because they go out into the water. A bridge takes you somewhere. This is a pier, and she has each duo go out and stand far apart on each end of the bridge with 2 pieces of paper with their names on it. They have to select which of them deserves the shield. If they choose the same, that person gets it. If not, she will literally burn their bridge, which explains why she calls them bridges instead of piers, just for that one pun.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really burn your piers with someone.
Yeah, but she could have said you have to take a long walk off a short pier or something like that. I mean,
this is true.
There were other things available. So she has them come up in order of who got the most to the least. And this is why she said earlier that those who got more would have a better chance because there are only 4 bridges, and when they're all burned, they're done. So Curtis and Rhea are obviously the first. They independently seem to agree in confessional that Rhea deserves it, but then Curtis picks himself instead, which only adds to Rhea's suspicions about him being a traitor. And he says he thought she'd give it to him because his birthday is coming up. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, I don't think she cares that. I don't think anyone cares that much about your birthday, Curtis.
No.
And also, just like read the room, Curtis. Like everyone
Yeah.
was cheering for her at
Yeah.
breakfast. Like
Right.
people like her. Give her the shield. Yeah.
So Kareen lights up the fuse, and the two of them have to run to get off the bridge. Rhea has a much shorter distance, and she's already at the end of the pier, whereas Curtis has to run the whole thing. And there are these little explosions along the way. I'm sure they're aimed outwards, but they look cool.
Yeah.
So see, they did end up taking a long walk off a short pier after all.
Yes, they did. Yeah, I thought it did look cool. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
explosions, woo!
Yeah.
I mean, I know normally I complain about maybe the missions just being for sort of very superficial fun, but this time I was like, whoa, it's like Mission Impossible. But but I did like that at least it introduced like a psychological element, like a way of assessing people's
Hmm.
personality. And like I like the missions where there's a bit of it's not just a completely physical, superficial task.
Right.
Where there's actually
Right.
something where you've got to think about what the other person might do and what does that say about them and is there something shady about what they did? Like even if it none of it means anything about who's a traitor, it just gives them more to talk about
Right.
and discuss later. So I liked this part of the mission.
Yeah. Yeah. So next up are Jamal and Jericho. Both vote for Jamal. Jericho says he gave it to Jamal because he had one himself the previous day. Meredith and Dom both choose Meredith. Coco and Asphir both choose Asphir. Kitten and Shaughnessy both pick Shaughnessy. Kara and Thompson both pick Kara.
Upside down,
so
Kara. Did you? Her plaque was
yes.
upside down.
yes.
I would love if they had said, "Oh, that doesn't count. You've held it up the wrong
Yeah.
way."
Yeah. Hollywood and Venus both pick Venus. Mackenzie and Chala, however, try to give it to each other. They're both so generous and have to run as the pier burns. Natalie and Omer each pick themselves, so they have to book it too. And Natalie has this great jump off the end. It's like an action movie jump off. I've already made a GIF out of this. I have submitted it for, to be an official GIF online. And so we will see if I'm sure it'll be some accepted. It just usually takes a few days to a week to be accepted. But
If I can figure out, if I can get my tech brain on my tech cap, I will insert it into our YouTube version of the podcast. If I haven't figured out how to do that, apologies. If I have figured out to do it, you'll have seen it right now.
that's right. Woo! Kevin and Sarah, Sarah and Nicole, pick each other. With Kevin telling us coming into the game, he planned to never take a public shield, whether he was a traitor or faithful, because he knew he'd have enough of a target as it was.
I don't don't get this.
Well,
Like,
Well, hold off because that's what one of the
Okay.
questions is at the end.
okay,
So,
okay.
in the car on the way back, Lisette is annoyed that Meredith got a shield because she doesn't trust her. Hollywood mentions that Chala asked, which, by the way, Hollywood, I don't know if Hollywood is more well known than I know, because when I went to Mark on the TV Time app that I had watched the show, it's an app I use. There's also a thing for, rate your favorite. And so I picked mine. I won't say who it is. But Hollywood was like the highest, higher than Corinne, which normally the host is the top one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it may just be that he was so encouraging later in the show or whatever. But if anyone knows, did I miss some information about Hollywood, or he just got that popular that quickly on the show? I don't know.
I mean, I think I kind of recognize him from doing. He appears on Drag Race sometimes to choreograph some of the challenges.
Okay.
Someone did send me a message. I can't remember what the context or the details, but mentioning Hollywood Jade. So there are other people who are like very aware of maybe more aware of him than I am. So maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, then, like I said, Hollywood mentions that Chala asked everyone who got a shield to show it. And Kitten notes you wouldn't need to know that if you're a faithful, which isn't really true because lots of people use information like that in the game. It doesn't look good, though.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, it's one of those things you don't do because of how it looks.
Yeah, I agreed. And I realized actually, I thought something happened later on. It's actually already happened. It was during the mission that Omar said, again, I was the one who almost got murdered. And yeah, like you said, he's assuming that because he was the last person to walk in at breakfast. And it's an interesting example of what we talk about in the podcast sometimes, like metagaming. Like he's aware of how the show works on TV and is using that to his advantage. So he knows how the show generally works. That you tend to be a faithful if you're the last person in. It's not always the case.
Right.
Certainly wasn't the case. Not that the players would have known it, but it wasn't the case today. So I guess he needs to be careful. Like he shouldn't assume that the other players believe that about him just because he believes it about himself.
Right. And, one thing Karine said was make no assumptions. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't believe you know everything just because you've, seen it before.
Yep.
So in another car, Curtis talks about why he put his own name down and says he feels bad. In this moment, I'm thinking, this is going to come back to bite you. And it does. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
Jericho says he doesn't think Coco should give an Asfield. He got one yesterday. And on that mission, he was the first one to say Rhea should get off the boat. So interesting that's, being held against him. They get back to the mansion. Omar and Jamal compare notes about Curtis. And Omar, of course, heard yesterday that Curtis was bringing up his name, and he's ready to fight. Both agree that Curtis pulls information from others but doesn't give any back. Meanwhile, Curtis is out and about spreading Dom's name plus Chala's name. Omar tells Shaughnessy he doesn't suspect Kevin anymore. She brings up the married couple, of course, without knowing they're the married couple. And speaking of them, Meredith tells us she worries that Chala's ship is sinking, but they came in agreeing not to help each other if they see that. I would find that incredibly difficult to do, and I have a feeling it won't continue to be so simple for them either.
Yeah, definitely. There's I don't know if it's at this exact point, but there's something I noticed kind of across this part of the episode amongst the discussions between the players before they go into the round table, and actually even comes up in the round table. But this is where I made a note of it. So someone must have said something here that made me think this. It's really funny how simply hearing other players mention a name becomes a reason in itself to suspect someone of being a traitor.
Yes.
Like they keep doing this thing like, well, I've heard his name already, so shit, he must be a traitor. Just because other people have spoken about them. Now, I get that that's a good tactic to use in terms of if I think lots of other people are going to vote for this person,
Right.
I'll just do the same thing to blend into the crowd and not stand out. But I think some of them are genuinely thinking that's a good reason to actually suspect someone because they've heard their name going around a lot, and that's their evidence. It's kind of like something we don't see it in this episode yet, but we see in other seasons. Sometimes players will say, "Oh, the person that just got murdered. Well, last night before they got murdered, they said they suspected X, so I think it's X." But, like, it doesn't mean anything. So it is just a funny observation. The things that people base their suspicions on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, it is time for the first round table. There's $13,600 in the pot, and they could theoretically add another $10,000 by finding a traitor. But let's face it, none of their names have come up, so it's unlikely this week.
Yeah.
Omar opens by notice. When he said he was ready to fight at the round table, I thought he was like, come at me and no, he just opens right up by noting that Ty told him yesterday that his name had come up because he blushed at the choosing, and Curtis was the one spreading it. But another person told him Curtis denied it, while a third person said he'd blame Meredith. So what's the story, Curtis? And Curtis does say he told Ty he noticed that, and then says Meredith mentioned it in the car, and Meredith comes out hard and says, I don't know why you're weaponizing that. And then she brings up Lissette's name, which gets Lissette angry because I still don't remember what happened exactly. Like there was some sort of misunderstanding, and Meredith didn't apologize, so she does now. Like I think Meredith just made an offhand comment like, well, this person, took a breath, or this person did this or whatever. And Lissette took this really, really hard, which, I mean, to be fair, people have been banished for less.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it. I found this difficult to follow, like really who said what. And I wondered if this was something that was expanded on in the extended episode. So I thought maybe I'm missing something, and that's the reason why. But it's
not in this extended episode. It wasn't really, as far as I can tell. I mean, if it was, I'm still confused.
Yeah.
So
I think it is also just probably a classic example of people do just slightly misremember things or interpret things in different ways. So when one person said, you said this, and the other goes, no, I didn't, I said that, they're kind of both right. They just heard slightly different things or meant different things. Like no one's really lying. They're just slightly remembering things a little bit differently. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is funny because I can't remember. There was a really big situation with this. It must have been was it Traitors? Was it the celebrity version now or the most recent other version we covered? But it reminds me that, so the very first Mafia game that I played, it was me and another couple of people. And it was this huge group. We started with this humongous group because it was a big gathering. And the final, it came down, I think there were like three of us. So one, the vote was going to come down to who, which way it was going to go. And there were two of us opposing each other. And I was not Mafia and he was. And I was, getting really riled up. And I was like, he said this. He absolutely said this. And da 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 da. And I ended up losing because I was wrong. I had totally misremembered what the person had said. The person doing the voting thought that I was lying and therefore voted me out. And the guy who was the Mafia won. And meanwhile, afterwards, I'm like, what happened? And everyone who was watching, there were people standing on a porch. There were people, this was a backyard. And they're all like, yeah, we were trying to figure out what you were doing there because we figured you must be Mafia because he never said that. And I was like, oh, I thought he did. So I could, and this is a few hour backyard game.
Yeah. I wonder if I'm not going to spoil anything. I won't name players. I think you might be thinking of the Traitors Ireland, David, which was a great season. And there came a point, where several faithful, the actual traitors weren't even involved, just were accusing one another of saying something, and there were denials, and I didn't say that, and you did say it. And ended up banishing someone wrongly, and then regret all over just like, not anyone like deliberately lying about anything, just people remembering things slightly the wrong way or genuinely forgetting about a conversation they had. So it does happen on the show.
Yeah, you're right. It was Ireland. I was trying to place it and I'm like, I could see their images, but I can't remember when it was. So moving on back to here, Jamal brings up that Curtis's face turned red as a cherry. Cherry tomato, which is also red as a cherry. So I guess I didn't need to clarify that. After the blindfolds came off, and Curtis says he hasn't accused him. It was just a discussion. And Jamal says, well, maybe they should judge Curtis then. And Omer notes that Curtis said lots of things previously without giving solid answers. So he wants to pin him down. Who is he suspicious of? And Curtis says Dom, who is not any of the names that he was associated with before.
Yeah.
So
just pick
Dom,
Curtis, just pick the person who other people might vote for.
Right. So Dom fires back and asks why he didn't put up Rhea's name on the bridge. And Jamal mockingly brings up his birthday. And Curtis, perhaps realizing how silly that sounds, tries to deflect a little. And Jamal says, "This is Traitors, baby. No one's giving you a shield because it's your birthday."
Great Jade impression.
Yeah. And Curtis admits that Rhea was the reason they did so well in the mission, but she kept calling him birthday boy and talked about his birthday. So he thought that was her mindset. Jamal says she was in tears after sacrificing herself and not getting a shield the previous mission. So if anyone deserved one, it was her. And Rhea says, yes, it's his birthday. I will give you a sticker. I will not give you a shield.
Yeah, that made me laugh. That was a good line.
Hollywood moves them to another topic, saying he doesn't want this to be like last season, and they shouldn't gang up on one person. Each person should be able to have the floor to express themselves without feeling attacked. Nice thought. But as Jamal said earlier, this is Traitors, baby. So I don't know what Hollywood thinks is going to happen here. He says, well, it can't be like last season. Now, do I remember the specifics of last season and whether that happened? No, I don't. I'm sorry. But it's pretty much every season. So I don't know. Hollywood thinks he can change the world here.
Yeah, and Jade or Hollywood or Jade Hollywood or Miss Hollywood or whatever Jade's called, references this again during the vote, so I'll come back to it when the votes begin.
So Hollywood says he doesn't think Curtis is a traitor and encourages others to bring up other names. When no one jumps in, so you thought that maybe they cut out some of the round table in your version because it was so short. But the thing is, nobody was saying anything. Like, he's like, other people jump in, and they're all like, because who wants to draw attention to themselves? No one wants to do that. It's all focused on Curtis. Of course, you're not going to draw it to yourself.
Yeah.
But then he talks about Chala asking for the number of shields. Chala explains that they asked about that because they were trying to figure out, well, how many of the rest of us would still be vulnerable? What are my odds here? Then Curtis takes one last chance to defend himself and says he's been good on the missions and is 100% a faithful. That will certainly change everyone's mind.
Yeah.
It is time to vote. Venus votes for Curtis. Curtis votes for Dom. Lisette votes for Meredith. Meredith votes for Curtis. Chala votes for Curtis. Asfir votes for Curtis. Omer votes for Curtis. Shaughnessy votes for Meredith. Hollywood votes for Chala. Yes, Mackenzie votes for Curtis.
I'm cutting in to just say that Jade, when Jade votes for, Hollywood votes for Chala. Is that right?
Yes.
And says, I'm a leader, not a follower. And,
yes.
And I sort of thought, isn't like Traitors 101 blend in with the crowd?
Yes.
I get that Jade's trying to be very righteous, but like in this game, actually being a leader, not a follower, is not a great move. So, and I thought, well, do you know what? Maybe Jade's never watched the Traitors, but like you said, and even a little bit later, Jade goes on to say, like, oh, it's season 2 all over again. And I thought, well, you have watched it then, so you are familiar with the show, yet you're trying to be a leader. Like, that's a bad move. Don't stand out.
Yeah. So Mackenzie votes Curtis, Jericho votes Curtis, Kitten votes Curtis, Jamal votes Curtis, Natalie votes Asfir, and Kevin votes Curtis. And then that settles it, which is fine because literally all the rest are for Curtis.
Yeah.
So when Curtis gets up to speak, he says he wishes people would have come to him to talk beforehand. Yeah, sorry, that's not the way this game works. People don't give you a warning before they pounce, especially when they believe you've been the one spreading names.
Yeah.
But he says he didn't expect this, and it was an interrogation, and he had no chance to respond to any of the questions, which, I'm sorry, Curtis, on social media, you look like a lot of fun. But based on what we saw, that is simply not true. He had the opportunity to reply. And then later, when Hollywood was encouraging people to speak up and nobody did, he could have jumped back in then as well. And he had the final word before they went to the vote. So he had every opportunity to reply. His replies simply weren't good enough.
Yeah, I thought the same. I thought, saying it's an interrogation, I sort of thought, well, that kind of is what the round table's for. So you can't really complain about the process. And yeah, like we know that they film these scenes for hours. Like I'm sure you had plenty of time. You can say what you want to say. So I don't know if, yeah, I didn't feel like that was a great excuse.
Yes. And then, of course, he says he's a faithful and he leaves. Now, Hollywood gets snippy and says, season 2 all over again.
Yeah, I also don't remember exactly. All I remember is, spoiler for season 2, they didn't catch a traitor on the first round table. That's all I know.
I mean, 95% of the traitors, I'm just like, dude, it's the first vote of almost any season of the Traitors. It happens. Get over it. Yeah. As Curtis himself tells us in Confessional, it's easy to bandwagon a name that comes up. And yeah, that's what they do. No one wants to go out first. You're not going to stick your neck out. Sorry. With that said, I do think it was rather predictable based on what we saw leading up to it. If I would have bet on it, leading into the round table, I would have been like, Curtis is going.
Yeah.
After round table, there are player discussions. Meredith apologizes to Lisette again, and let's just say Lisette does not simply accept it.
No.
She is hot. She accuses Meredith of being a traitor. She storms off, and as she passes Hollywood and Chala, she says, I'm so fucking irritated.
Yeah. I had a lot of thoughts about Lisette here. Basically, it all boils down to the fact that it's not a personal attack. Like, we say it all the time. It's a game. Like, if someone brings up your name, suggests you might be a traitor, you've just got to accept it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen to all of you. You're gonna get accused at some, and she wasn't even accused, I don't think. Her name was just kind of brought up at the table. Like, nobody voted for her. Like, she wasn't getting piled on. It didn't make a difference. It's, on the podcast, you and I, David, we like to sort of compare it to like playing Monopoly or poker. Mm-hmm. It's like someone, you land on someone's space on Monopoly and you have to give them rent money and then accuse them of, it'd be like accusing them of like exploiting you on a personal level and patronizing you, and you're never going to speak to them again. Like, it's the game. This is what happens. It sucks. Yeah, I think Lisette just got in way too deep in terms of personal investment in this exchange.
Yeah. And then, as this happens, Chala talks to us about how difficult it is to see, what's going on with Meredith and not immediately react. But they encourage Hollywood to talk to Meredith, and he does. Lisette vents to Coco and others, saying now if Meredith is a traitor, she'll murder her. Or someone else could do it to frame her. And I'm thinking, great, give Coco ideas. Good job. Yeah.
Right. And also, I thought, why? I don't think anyone cares about you that much right now. Like, I
we're all the hero of our own story, man.
Yeah, I know. I thought she was getting too. I think she thought this was a bigger deal than it was, mm-hmm. And I thought, no one's gonna murder. Like, no one's gonna target you for this. Like, yeah.
Oh, at this point, I might. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. As they head off to bed, Natalie feels like she's in danger because she has no shield and is, quote, a confirmed faithful. And I'm like, it's day 2. Nobody is a confirmed anything.
Yeah.
So the traitors meet in their conclave for the first time. Kevin tells us he wants to be a beta and let Coco and Venus take the lead to build trust. Meanwhile, Coco is similarly thinking she'll do what they want. Kevin also tells us his real partner in the game is Venus, but Coco is a really good game player. When they meet, Venus thanks them both for picking and keeping her. But before they can start discussing anything further, Karine walks in and throws a wrench into the works by saying instead of a murder, they will pick 4 potential people whose fate will be determined by the outcome of tomorrow's mission. They can also include their own names, but I'm like, if it depends on the outcome of the mission, how does that work if you...
Yeah.
Not having seen the mission, it's hard to say. Maybe it'll be something to talk about next week. And it doesn't matter anyway, because all 3 of them immediately agree that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
This is something we've talked about on previous editions of the podcast. Like, yes, it started off as, let's put a traitor in there to because they never suspect that. And then after after a year of that happening, the next set people were like, anyone who they put a traitor in, they're suspicious. And now we're to the 3rd level of the traitors being like, we're not putting any traitors in there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, in time, if the seasons keep going, it'll probably come back around again. So
that's what I was thinking. Like, how many years is it before it comes back around and they say, come on, no one would be dumb enough to do that. Everybody knows you know. Yeah. I think you still have to give it at least another year before you do that. So, season 5 maybe of this particular.
Yeah. It's also quite, it feels early in the season to do this sort of death row thing.
That's what I was going to say. I'm not fond of it. Let them do one murder the normal way before you throw in more twists. You had the first one was not a normal murder. Now the second one is not. Come on, let them give them a chance here to get into the swing of things.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So Venus says she has 2 names right away and then only names 1. She does eventually get back to it. She says Lisette because nobody has any suspicion on her, which is not the reason I would pick Lisette, as we just discussed, but okay. Coco mentions Thompson and Rhea and Jericho. Venus then comes back to Natalie. They agree they want fun, chaos, and villainy, and mention Hollywood and Kitten. Now, personally, I would definitely include Hollywood to kind of smack his hand for trying to tell everyone how to play the game. And then we don't get the list. I thought we'd at least get the list of 4, but we don't. And the preview is not at all helpful.
Yeah. Well, before, there was something I'm going to say about the preview, but in the version I watched, they do flash up 3 of the portraits of 3 random. They show you Lisette, Jade, random white man whose name I don't know. So I thought,
Thompson, probably.
Yeah, I was like, is that who
that describes Thompson?
Yeah. Is that what that means? But so I wasn't sure. And
yeah, I wasn't either because I was waiting for the 4th one, and then the 4th one didn't come. Yeah, I'm like, well, maybe that doesn't mean anything then.
So I don't know. But I also just found their discussion quite mad. Like, Venus asked a great question at one point. She said, right, what's her goal with this? And I thought, yes, think about it properly. Like, what do you want to get out of this? Mm-hmm. Do you want to put people up who are going to become sort of under the microscope of the group? Like, who do you want to put a spotlight onto? Are you going to pick people that have already got lots of suspicion on them? Are you going to pick really quiet people? And there's a reason. But they end up just being like, let's just have fun. Like, they're just sort of like, let's cause chaos. Wah! And I thought, really? You don't want, like, a bit of strategy? A bit of, like, you just kind of want to have fun and shock everyone? Is that it? I mean, I thought it was a wasted opportunity if that's what they're doing.
I mean, for the first vote, when you have no control over who ends up going, I guess maybe you don't want to pick 4 that have the same strategy because it may give it away. Chaos may actually be the better way to do it here.
Yeah, or maybe this is chaos, but pick 4 people that have no clear connection to you, and that's it. It's just like, let's just pick 4 people that no one would ever think. We don't talk to lots, or we didn't have any exchange with at the round table, something like that. But
I mean, it's hard to pick 4 people who have no interactions with 3 different traders.
Sure, I guess so. Yeah.
So yeah, that is where we end. Did you hear anything that I was discussing that really stood out as not being in your version?
Uh, it's difficult to tell because I wasn't taking as many notes as I normally do. Some things you mentioned, I thought, oh, maybe I just didn't pay that close
Yeah.
attention to that bit. So, and then some things maybe it's part of the game we're playing, David. Maybe you were deliberately inventing things, and I would never know. So, uh, there was a little bit extra. There were a couple of things at the round table I don't remember that well. So I think there might
Okay.
have been a little bit extra there. You mentioned the mission was maybe a little bit longer. So it's difficult to tell, actually. But what I was going to mention was the preview. You said it didn't really
Hmm.
show you a lot. I never usually watch the preview anyway. I just sort of press stop. That probably doesn't make a difference most of the time. But a listener sent me a DM on Instagram saying, "Oh, don't watch the preview. It spoils something about the next episode." So I didn't watch. I wouldn't have watched it anyway. But I don't know. Now they might be wrong. Maybe it doesn't spoil anything at all. So I was going to say, like, David, is there anything really obvious in it? Like, I feel like one time before this maybe happened on some series somewhere that you or I
Hmm.
spotted like a bit of a giveaway about something, but I don't remember what it was, and I don't know what it was this
I
time.
mean, I was trying to. I admit, I watched the preview. Just quickly. I let it go by. I didn't rewatch it or anything like that. But I didn't notice any of
Yeah,
the serious contenders appearing in it. Any of the serious contenders for the list. Um, I didn't notice it anyway. So
yeah.
I guess we'll have to find
Maybe
out what that is.
if I remember, and maybe next week
Yeah.
after episode three, I could come back and
Right.
watch it, and then be like,
Right.
ah, but I'll probably forget by next week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have, as I think you mentioned earlier, a listener question. And this is from
Yes.
Fiona on Blue Sky. So everyone come to Blue Sky and send me your questions. Fiona wrote, there's two parts to this. The first is I think Kevin is trying to preempt any metagaming about Big Brother in the turret by saying Coco was on Big Brother and downplaying that it was celebrity. And by this, what Fiona means is there has always been a Big Brother player in the turret.
Okay.
So since Kevin is now with Ty gone, Kevin is the only main Big Brother person. By spreading around and reminding people, oh, Coco was on Big Brother, Coco was on
Mm,
Big Brother, he could be trying to play into the metagame or play against the metagame and guard against it by saying, hey, there's another Big Brother player. Don't assume it was me without outright saying it. So I thought that was interesting that Fiona brought that up.
yeah. And I mean, obviously, I don't know the answer, but it sounds, I wouldn't have thought of that, but it does make sense to me, especially if
Mm-hmm.
there has always been a Big Brother traitor. I don't remember that, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Kevin's thinking and that's how he's going to
Yeah.
play it. Sure, I could see that being a ploy.
And then the second part was a question. Why was Kevin's plan to never publicly take a shield faithful or traitor? And the Fiona continued, is it because he used AI to study the game, or does this somehow make sense? Now, you had a question about this, so I don't know if you want to voice it, and
Uh,
then I'll give my answer to both of you, what I
okay.
think.
Yeah, I made a note when Kevin said that. It really sort of struck me as odd. I didn't understand it. I thought, why? So he's saying, I'm never gonna actively try and get a shield in a mission because I think it will make me look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that does happen on the traitors, which is really silly. Sometimes players do actively try and get a shield in a mission and they're really open about it, and other players go, that's really sus. Why did you want a shield?
Right.
Of course they want a shield. But this doesn't happen all the time, and I think if you want a shield really badly, most of the time it probably is because you're a faithful. You could be a traitor pretending to be a faithful, but I just don't understand why Kevin said, I'll only try and get a shield if it's like a secret thing and no one knows that
Mm-hmm.
I've got. I guess he means because then the next day you can reveal it at breakfast or whatever, and they'll be go, oh, you had the shield and you didn't tell us.
Right.
That means you're really a faithful. Yeah, I don't think that going for a shield would be like a really bad move for Kevin. I don't really follow
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, to respond to the question, I don't think he used AI or anything like that. I mean, there were some people on US Big Brother this season who, rather than actually watching the show, they used like an AI chat model to find out about the show, which really didn't work for them, and is not something you should do because you end up getting really stupid answers. But and plus, I mean, it doesn't seem like a Kevin thing to do. I think he just studied and knows the game. And one thing, like you said, that happens is there's a lot of speculation about who may be a traitor based on them going after a shield. And like you said, it may seem obvious if you really want a shield, that means you're faithful. But of course, we get to the second and third level thinking of, the traitors really going for a shield, thinking it will make them look more like a faithful. But, nowadays it does almost seem like trying hard for a shield makes some people think you're a traitor trying to look like a faithful. So if you just avoid that entirely, it's
Yeah,
one less reason for people to worry about you, especially if you're coming in with a target already on you, like Kevin did.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I guess don't give anyone a reason
Right,
to even look at you.
right.
Just don't do anything that makes you stand out. Maybe that's his thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, I guess, did you have any final thoughts before we get to predictions?
Uh, not really anything specific, other than that I felt like I enjoyed watching the second episode more, and it maybe is just because, first episode I wasn't doing the podcast on it, so I didn't need to take any notes and pay attention to people's names, and I kind of just, let it pass over me, and um, maybe yeah, I was paying more attention this time. I had to write things down, so I feel like I'm more familiar with the players, I guess, and I'm figuring out who knows who and who's the
And
reality
because they
star,
have chirons.
and they have chirons now, so it's right there for me. But yes, I enjoyed the episode. Don't need all of these twists and changes, and we're going to murder a different way. Like, it's fine to just let the game play out the way that it normally does, and maybe later in the season switch it
Hmm.
up a little bit. So I don't think they need to be doing so much so early. I guess that's my overall thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was another fun episode, although the outcome of the roundtable was made rather predictable in my eyes.
Mm.
Um, I just think Curtis set himself up for this result. If I were doing a Why Curtis Lost podcast, I'd say he plotted and schemed too much. He was talking about way too many people,
Mm.
and we saw it. He mentioned this name, he mentioned that name, and in this game, it's going to get back to them. And then when he asks for the one serious answer, he mentions someone whole totally different. So, yeah, and plus the birthday thing. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Um,
no one in this cast should mention their birthday anymore in this
no,
series.
no. Now, Kevin already planting seeds to get rid of Coco is interesting. I think it'll be fun one way or the other to see it turns out. My guess is Kevin ends up on the better side of it. I
Mm,
don't know that it'll happen in episode 3, but I do think by episode 4 he will be coming for her. I think he's moving in there slowly.
mhm.
And then either way, whatever happens, I think Venus is going to hide behind the two of them and going to be safe for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I feel like I don't know them well enough to have got a real good sense of how they're going to play the game and what their personalities are
Mhm.
like. But yeah, Venus most likely will just let Kevin do what he wants to do, and as long as he's not coming for her, she doesn't really need to do too much.
Yeah. Yeah. As for predictions, so here are my predictions for who will end up on the list. I think Hollywood, Natalie, Lisette, and Kitten will end up on the list. And the reason I included Natalie was only because of that confessional where she was like, I think I'm in danger. Because otherwise, why Natalie of all
Mm,
people? So I
okay.
think that's why I put her on the list. Hollywood and Kitten, the whole chaos theory, Lisette for the reasons that we all discussed. And even though we have no way of knowing who or how it will be decided, I just think we're going to end up saying goodbye to Lisette.
Okay. It's difficult to predict because to be honest, still don't
Yeah.
know everybody's names yet. But
Hmm.
yes, I'll go with, well, probably going to go with people who have featured a bit so far. So we've got like a reason behind why they're being
Hmm.
chosen. So I'll go for Lisette, Hollywood, and I'm going to pick the couple. Is it Meredith?
Mm.
Meredith and Chala?
Yes.
I think that could be obviously the traitors don't know this, but that could be really interesting for the viewers to see how's that
Right.
going to play out. And they both have kind of they featured at the round table a bit, so they
Hmm.
have got a little bit of attention on them. So the traitors might just think, yeah, let's just check them and their names were mentioned.
Right.
We want Meredith got in a bit of an argument. Let's just put her in there with Lisette, and it'll be and everyone will think one of them's a traitor or something like that.
That's a good point. So who do you think is going?
Well, it's for murder. It's difficult to tell because
Right.
if it's
I know.
decided by the outcome of a mission,
Yeah, that's why I just
we'll
kind
never
of
know.
randomly picked Lisette. But
Yeah, I'll go with Hollywood.
okay.
Hey,
All right. And then in the round table, I just because we have nothing else to go on, I think things are going to turn back to Chala again.
okay, yeah,
So
yeah, I can see that. I don't think a traitor's gonna get caught in episode 3, so
yeah.
could be Chala, it could be some random person who just says the wrong thing or does something slightly odd next episode, and everyone hones in on it. So someone that
Right.
we've not even paid attention to next. I'll throw out one. Is how many housewives of Toronto are there?
I think there's only one.
Let's go for that one, whoever she is. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Kara, I think.
Based on nothing.
Yes. All right.
We're sort of we've been playing a game this whole time, and we're still kind of playing it right now. We've been playing the Trade Our Traitor, maybe trying to lie to each other, maybe about to lie to each other before we conduct our banishment and reveal what we've been dishonest about. David, tell us where we can find you online, what shows you're covering, how can we follow you?
So I am all over social media and reality TV podcasting. I will be right back here tomorrow and then again next week to discuss the celebrity traders. Spoiler alert, I'm finally there. Our schedule's finally worked. In addition to being here, of course, I'm podcasting every week about the reasons each Survivor 49 player lost or was voted out in my Why Blank Lost series on RHAP. In fact, this is our 10th anniversary season of that podcast. Plus, I'm doing my TikTok and YouTube videos for Survivor and Celebrity Traders and the Traitors Canada, where I'm at David Bloomberg TV on those video sites. I have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I got to that over the summer, mostly with Big Brother people. But you don't want those Big Brother people to be in charge. Just join in and let's show them that there's traders people too, and I'm approaching 14,000 on TikTok, so we can, pump it up there too. So you can find all my various accounts through my link tree at linktree/David Bloomberg, or as I mentioned earlier, on Blue Sky is at David Bloomberg.
Fantastic. And as for me personally, you could follow my accounts on Instagram and TikTok at Matthew J. Keeley, or if you're still using Facebook, I'm Matthew Keeley Writer. I have just published a poetry collection. Well, I haven't published it. A publisher has published it called From the Juniper Room. It's published by Drunk Muse Press, a Scottish publisher, and it's a collection exploring memory, grief, travel, change. I've just had 2 great launch events, one in Scotland, one in London. You can order a copy of the book from Drunk Muse Press or from me. Just get in touch. And to make sure you're up to date with the podcast and Traitors news and updates and whatever shows we are about to be covering or currently covering, and sometimes a little video from me, you can follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. I've mentioned this recently on the pod. I'll mention it here. That Instagram have changed their rules, meaning I can't go live on Instagram without at least 1,000 followers. So it'd be
Really?
great to get to that point. Yeah, as of August, apparently they changed the rules. I only figured this out when I tried to do a live video recently, and there was no live button. So we're at about 850 right now, which is pretty good. So it'd be amazing to get back to at the point where I can do live videos again. You can, of course, send me questions, comments, thoughts on all those platforms. You can even email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com, or you could do what Kevin did. You could leave a voice note to be heard on the podcast. You could be the star of the pod yourself. Really easy. It's at memo.fm/thetradarpodcast. And again, it's great to subscribe, follow, leave a nice review, whatever platform you're using to listen. It really helps boost the pod and help other people find it. And you can support the pod in a couple of different ways. If you really want to show off your love for the Traitors and the pod, you could acquire some podcast merch at thetradar.redbubble.com, like this beautiful t-shirt I'm wearing with the Traidar logo on it. Or if you just want to put in a little donation and you pick the amount, you could visit ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. You don't have to subscribe to anything. It's a one-off donation of the amount you choose. All of those links and all of David's links and my writer page links are all in the episode description. Super easy to find. Now, Mama David, it's time for us to conclude the Traidar Traitor. David, I'm using a new technique to finish this game. I'm using my shield. Ooh, it's been here in plain sight the whole time. I'm going to hide the shield in one hand, and you have to decide which hand is the shield in, left or right.
Sounds like it just fell on the floor, quite frankly.
The other half of the magnet fell on the floor, yes.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like this is being rigged here. I don't know. I will go with that hand. You can't tell which that hand is. Sure, that one. No, the other one.
It's not. It's too late.
Oh,
it's this one. Of course, if you're not watching on YouTube, you've got no idea what we're doing right now.
It doesn't matter. We don't know what we're doing either. So.
David did not pick the shield correctly, which means I get to decide whether I want to go first or second. I'm gonna be confident, like Hollywood Jade. I'm gonna stick out. I'm gonna go first and guess what David's lie was. I've got a few options, David. Now, again, of course, you claim to have watched the extended version. Maybe that's your lie. Maybe you didn't watch the extended version. So there might have been something about the episode you threw in there, and I just thought, oh, well, I guess that's in the version I didn't see. But actually, it was a complete fabrication, and I wouldn't know. Like the mission, you said your version went on a little bit longer. I don't know. You said that someone else watched the episode, the two different versions of the episode, and got in touch with you to tell you that the mission had been extended. Maybe that was your lie. You you quoted Omar and said something about how he. Now I do vaguely remember this. He said someone accused him of turning the color of a cherry tomato, as you would say. I would say tomato, and maybe that's a lie. Maybe it was.
Do you say potato or potato?
I say neither. The P's silent. It's an otato. And maybe it wasn't the color of a cherry tomato. Maybe it was the color of a red balloon. I don't know. It probably was tomato. I'm going to go with something else. You said that you made your GIF of somebody jumping off the bridge with the explosion, and you said that you've submitted it. I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't know. You could submit a GIF to be accepted, and you said, oh, you've submitted it, you're waiting to see if it gets accepted. I'm going to go with that. I think that's your lie. You've not really done that.
I absolutely have. You submit them to Tenor, which is owned by Google. I have just started. So Blue Sky uses Tenor GIFs. And so they don't use Giphy keyboard. There's also, you could get the Tenor keyboard. And so, yes, I have submitted a number. Okay. See, if you were on Blue Sky, you would know this. Because I've talked about a number of the gifts that I have submitted. They're mostly like Survivor and Big Brother with a few other shows. So yes, I have submitted it, and I just submitted it today. So it has not been, officially approved yet. The funniest part, I should have added this in there because you never would have believed. Well, you didn't believe it existed anyway, so it didn't matter. But the first two that I submitted that had the F word in it, spelled out.
Oh.
They weren't the first two I submitted. I, eased in, but the first two that I submitted with that, instantly approved. I was like, oh, I thought those would take longer. They were approved before some of the other ones that I submitted. I'm like, okay, so the way to get them
Oh.
instantly submitted is to drop F-bombs in GIFs. That's the way to.
Yeah, wow. Tenor loves swearing.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
you've done a good job in your traitor's cloak. You've deceived me. You're gonna have
you,
to let me
it,
in.
it was on your list. It was on your
Oh
list.
man.
I said that there was probably more time spent in the extended version, and I still think there was, but I did not have that confirmed by anyone on Blue Sky. Nobody mentioned that at all.
Well, I mean, at least it made my short list.
Yes, it did. It
I'll
did.
take a small victory from that for
Yes. Yeah.
myself. But well done. You've tricked me,
So,
David. What do you think I lied to you about?
well, I don't. My short list is one. So, I hope this is it because it seems like the sort of thing you would do. Because you said Hollywood Jade appeared on some challenges for some of the drag race seasons. I think you made that up on the spot, knowing that I don't watch Drag Race and that I just said I don't know anything about Hollywood Jade. So, but then, throughout the rest of the episode, you called him Jade instead of Holly. I kept calling him Hollywood. I thought that it was Hollywood. I thought other players called him Hollywood. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you know better than I do because you've seen it. But that's really the only thing I had. That's the only item on my list.
Okay, I can confirm that that was not my lie. Hollywood Jade or Jade Hollywood or whatever does do the choreography sometimes on the Drag Race challenges, at least on Drag Race Canada. So that is true, and I think that's the only reason why I know who they are. I lied about something else. I'm glad I tricked you because I thought there's no way he's going to believe this. I made up a
Yeah.
whole story. I did not have a listener send me a message to say that the preview ruins something in the next episode.
I thought about that, and then I was just like, no, that's too intricate. But then I remembered, like, was it one of the last two celebrity traders where you made up a whole commenter or something like
Yes.
that too? So
Yeah.
I should have known you would be willing to make that up.
Yeah, I've decided sometimes you need to go big and like that
I mean,
just
that
just commit
explains.
to it.
I should have caught it because I'm like I didn't see anything there that was a spoiler. So yeah, I should
Hey.
have. Okay, yeah, go big or go home.
Well, we're both
So
good traitors. We're both good
yep.
liars. I either because we've covered the traitor so much, we've picked up on some great techniques, or we're just really evil people. I'm not sure which one.
I'm a
David,
villain.
thank you so much for taking the podcast on last week and helping lead it this time. We'll be back for, well, a couple of things, like you said. We'll be back for episode 3 next week, and we're going to be covering Celebrity UK Traitors. If you're listening to this, the last few days of October, first few days of November, then Celebrity UK is on right now. If you're listening to
Mhm.
this some point beyond that, Celebrity UK Traitors is finished, but that means you can go back and watch the whole thing. Hooray!
Right.
So we'll be back on the pod soon. Thank you, listeners. And David, I have a new catchphrase that you may not have heard yet, and it's this: Laters, traders.
Yeah, I've heard it. I, I laughed when I heard it. I'll stick to mine. Stay traitorous.